Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for August of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kell Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco, California.
Well, Scorpio, this month's horoscope is all about career and your influence in community. If you'd like guidance about how you can most effectively use this time to boost your career impact, you can enlist the help of a mission orders reading. You'll find a link for that in the text that comes with this video, and we can really talk about career in depth. Well, let's get into the horoscope. There are a couple of things that I want to start with that are continuing from last month, but really worth talking about. So in particular, these are Juno, which has turned retrograde as of last month and will be so until October. Juno is the asteroid goddess of marriage and committed relationships of all kinds, personal and professional. And so when she goes retrograde, she flings all of us into a relationship retrospection period. This particular one being in Pisces, we're asking ourselves, how does this relationship mesh with my spiritual value system? Do I feel a sense of soul connection with this person? And if I do, what does that mean? If I don't, what does that mean? This is happening in your fifth house of fun, pleasure, and play, and also children. And so if you're looking at a co-parenting relationship, you might really be feeling this. And if you're looking at the level of fun and entertainment in your relationship, you might really be feeling this. It's been said that those who play together stay together, and play and creativity can be really bonding activities. And so that may be coming up amongst your ruminations about relationship during this Juno retrograde period. We'll say more about this as it continues along. But you can find out a lot more already in the video that we made about it in our July 2022 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. The other thing I want to allude to briefly is that Uranus is traveling along through your seventh house of partnership. And Uranus tends to bring innovation and change, and that can feel rather chaotic and disruptive, at least at first. Oftentimes, we don't really like change. We don't really want change, especially if it wasn't our idea. And this landing in the house of partnership suggests that your partner might have ideas for change that you're not comfortable with. And so when Uranus goes retrograde later this month on the 24th, that might really come up on your viewfinder. So here it is, Uranus with the little red RX symbol, retrograde in your seventh house. And so right around the 24th, there might be some kind of pivot or shift that goes on in your mind or in the ongoing dialogue between yourself and your partner about the relationship itself. Or, and this is really something that can happen when Uranus is traveling through the seventh house, if you're single, you might feel like you want to take a new and different approach to dating, even potentially date off type. So decisions like that can be made when Uranus pivots, as it is going to do on the 24th. Hey, Julia, let me fling the ball over to you so that you can talk about Mercury, Venus, and Mars this month for the Scorpios of the world.
Well, yes. Well, hi there, Scorpio. We'll begin with Mercury. Mercury is the planet that represents communication and mentation. Wherever we have Mercury is where we might find an increase of communication in our life, do more socializing, as where we also are very preoccupied with our thoughts. So Mercury starts the month in your 10th house, though he's only here for a couple of days. He really spends a lot of time in the 10th house last month. So if you do want to hear more about this transit in depth, I totally recommend recommend you check out last month's videos. However, Mercury in the 10th is a career house. So your mind could have been very, very preoccupied with your career, maybe planning or strategizing. And you may have found that you had more conversations and communications with the authority figures in your life, which are also ruled by the 10th house. Now, on August 3rd or 4th, depending on where you are in the world, Mercury enters your 11th house. And this is the house of friends. This is the house of any groups you're a part of. It's also the house of your hopes, wishes, and dreams. So that means those goals that take some time to realize. And with Mercury in the 11th, you could be spending a lot of time thinking about those long-term goals in your life, maybe planning, maybe strategizing, maybe talking to other people about how you can get a bit closer to achieving them. And this can be a very social time with your friends. You might notice that you're connecting to more groups. Maybe there's like a little group text going on with your friends, or maybe you find yourself more in a group setting and just kind of speaking and communicating with others. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, begins the month in your 9th house. This is a travel house. It represents education. It represents adventure. It also represents legal affairs too. So with Venus in the 9th for the first 11 days of the month, if you have an opportunity to go on a trip, then it's going to be a really fun, pleasurable trip. And if you're single, you might even find a crush on somebody when you travel. Venus in the 9th house is also a good time for getting more pleasure from learning something, from expanding your boundaries in some way. And since the 9th house is a legal house, if you are in any legal disputes, you might find ways to kind of negotiate a lot better too. Then on August 11th, Venus enters your 10th house. Again, that's the house of career. That's the house of your public reputation and authority figures. So from the 11th on, it's a really good time for gaining favor with your authority figures. Whether you have a boss, an employer, or a parent telling you what to do, you guys are really going to be harmonized a lot more with Venus in this house. And Venus in the 10th can be a nice boost to your public image too. If you do anything in the public eye, if you do anything to kind of promote yourself, Venus adds a little bit of grace and charm to that. And if you're in a relationship, then Venus in the 10th house might mean that you make the relationship more public in some way, like inviting your partner out to a work function, introducing somebody for the first time to your family, but there's something about your relationship which might seem more public. Then Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month in your 7th house. This is a partnership house. And Mars tends to bring a bit of conflict and frustration wherever he goes, but he does have a very constructive side as well. So with Mars in the 7th, for the first 20 days of the month, you might not be seeing eye to eye with your partner. They might be doing things that kind of annoy you and get to you. But Mars in the 7th is a wonderful transit for getting some sort of shared effort done with your partner. So I really recommend you guys just kind of throw yourself into some kind of project that really is quite physical, maybe even going for a jog or doing some type of going to the gym together. That could be a very constructive use of this transit too. Then on August 20th, Mars enters your 8th house. This is the house of other people's money, the money you share with others that you're close to, like family members or institutions like banks. And it's also a house of research and investigation. So you could feel very driven to get to the bottom of something this month. Maybe you're kind of researching, investigating, snooping around something, because Mars just wants to keep digging down. Mars is pretty comfortable in this house because of its old rulership of Scorpio, and this is Scorpio's house. Mars in the 8th can also be kind of a trying time financially, especially if you're applying for a loan, or you might run into conflicts, frustrations, and disagreements with other people over money.
Yeah, that can happen. So I want to go back to earlier in the month when we've got the full moon. And this is a full moon that places the sun in the 10th house, the moon in the 4th house. And this really speaks to the idea of work-life balance, because the moon in the 4th house is pulling you into the home realm, the domestic realm, and the sun is pulling you up into the career realm. And wherever the sun goes, you want to place your attention there. You want to shine the light of attention because that's where things can grow and thrive. And so the sun is already at the beginning of this month involved in a 30-day journey to make things thrive and flourish in your career domain. And then the full moon brings a good deal of attention to the opposite area, which is home and family, and that can make you feel like, you know, that attention has to be balanced or balanced with the career attention, right? And also in this fourth house, we've got Saturn here. Saturn is involved in a 2.5-year journey along your fourth house, where it's making you take responsibility, making you feel perhaps under pressure. And that might mean pressure to have the relationships in your home go better. You might feel burdened. You might feel even isolated in your home. Even if you're surrounded by family members that you know love you, sometimes those feelings can come with a Saturn transit through the fourth house. And usually the solution for that sort of thing, for a Saturn transit in the fourth house, is to take responsibility, to find a way that you can take responsibility for bettering your situation and building some form of skill as you go along. Now, there's a monkey wrench in the proceedings, if you will, which is that Uranus traveling over here through the seventh house, which I mentioned before. Uranus, the innovator, wants changes to come into your life through the medium of your partnership. And that, as I mentioned before, might have to do with dating off type, finding somebody new and different to relate with that's not your usual fare, but introduces, you know, different kinds of ideas into your brain and might change your mind about some things. Or if you're already in a partnership, it might be that your partner is a little bit more restless than usual and introducing change into your own system. And you might feel that that really lands at home, or that it impacts work. And certainly you may feel that it impacts the balance of those two. So that moon is around August 11th, and you may notice stuff happening around those themes anywhere for several days before or after that moon. So I mentioned that the sun is lighting up your 10th house, and it moves on into your 11th house right about here, August 23rd. And the 11th house is a house of networks, groups, and communities. Julia mentioned it as a house of your long-term goals, you know, like the stuff that you're planning towards years out into the future. And so when the sun moves into the 11th house, it's a really good time to shine the sunlight of your high quality attention on your networks and the things that may fall out of your business over time, meaning, you know, how those goals are going to play out. And how they reflect your ideals and your wishes for your business or your career. So as the sun travels along through the 11th house, it can be, and it will be there for about 30 days. It's a really good time for cultivating your network, your community, and that can be personally or professionally. I would say, especially professionally, this might be a really good time for an email blast to the people on your list. And so this moon is happening on the 27th, but don't hit that send button too impulsively, because Mars is here forming a square to this moon and bringing in a very distractible and perhaps hasty, irritable, and kind of like driven energy that might make you, you know, hit that send button before you fully crafted the email that you want to send to your peeps. So watch out for that. And there you have it, Scorpio. Hope you enjoyed that. You will always find your horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscope tab. And if this is your sun sign, then definitely check out the horoscope for your rising sign, because it'll work much better. And you can also get a reading with us in the readings tab. And if you're interested to know more about the moons this month or any of the other influences this month in general, then you can check out the forecast tab as well. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.